All right, everyone. CNN had an opinion piece a couple days ago, and they're like, "Oh, dudes, please don't grow a beard. Like us ladies are begging you, don't have facial hair because reasons it's scratchy or it makes you look like a Neanderthal or something." I guess. I'm thinking the beard just got 2 inches longer. Look, here's the thing. Here's what I've always thought about this, like stylistic choices. If someone doesn't respect you for who you are, you look in the mirror, ultimately you're the one who has to decide like how you look, how you dress, everything like that. If someone else doesn't like that, then fuck them, basically. Some people, they have to have like a uniform, they go to work or something, but when they come home, it's like, who cares? I read one story once where this dude, he was like, an older teen, like 17, 18, and so, when you're that age, sometimes your beard hair, while sparse and not necessarily great looking, it would, get all scraggly. Within 24 hours, like you shave in the morning, you've got basically, 5 o'clock shadow by noon. Anyway, he faked that he was sick and took several days off from work and just grew a beard. Because his manager apparently kept harassing him about needing to shave more effectively, and he's like, well, I shave every morning and I'm clean shaven when I come into work. By the time I leave, I'm not. It's all scraggly because hormones and all sorts of bullshit like that. And so I thought that was a funny story. Just as a little bit of an aside there, I think a lot of dudes go through that. Mine actually grows just about as fast as it used to. Like, it's funny because, I shaved it off, like, how many days ago was it that I shaved it completely? And here's the thing, like, some of us, we have a face built for certain types of facial hair. Like, I've got a rather long face. I like to make it look even longer with the goatee. It kind of works on me. People are used to it. And so it's not going anywhere. It's like, let's say that there was some woman wanted to be with me and they're like, oh, shave your beard. I'd say, no, fuck you. I'd say, maybe you need to go shave something else. When are we going to have a CNN opinion article about women, please don't grow pubic hair? Women, no, it's not a statement of feminism to grow your armpits out. It's ultimately, it's just like, what the fuck? Why? It's like, shave your legs. They would say that was sexist, and, whoever wrote the opinion piece, CNN's audience would mob them. They'd be like, why did CNN put this out? And it's horrible and stuff. So it's like, how is this any different? This is a marker of, like, maleness. It's like there are two traditional markers back in the old days. We're talking pre-Victorian and so forth, for maleness. Long hair, ironically enough, and beards. I think the basic idea was that if a dude could maintain a lot of hair, and it was like flowing and luxurious and not all fucked up, and it wasn't full of fleas and stuff, he had to have money. He had to have some degree of wealth and power in order to do that. If you're like a peasant, you probably kept your head shaved because there's like lice and fleas and shit. You don't want that. You want to be infested. Your wife would hit you over the head with your plowshare, essentially at that point. You probably didn't have a beard, maybe a little one or something. It's probably about all you had. You had the nobles. And they're often depicted. If you look at like pictures of nobility, they've got like medium length hair and maybe a little beard. And then royalty, how is Charlemagne depicted? He looks almost like a fucking wizard. This is partially, probably not entirely true all of the time. Some of it could have been a stylistic effect. But generally speaking, I guess the idea was that slaves had no hair, peasants had very little hair. It's like a friar, and you have the little friar's haircut as opposed to maybe the priest. He has like, what we would consider normal hair. And then the Pope probably back then looked like a fucking hippie half the time. Or maybe not. They're very self-conscious with regards to plague and stuff, and, that had something to do with it, I'm sure. Modern concepts with regards to facial hair as being inevitably dirty or something wrong with it, really, it comes about with the Victorian Housewives Club. A bunch of suffragettes and fire and brimstone ministers that also got together to try to ban alcohol. Also tried to ban chewing tobacco, especially. Concepts like live-in lovers that before actually had been surprisingly common, especially in the U.S. People just sort of cohabited often. There was no registry for marriage in some places anyway. Even people that were obviously homosexual, they just sort of cohabited. Everyone knew what they were doing. They just didn't talk about it, basically. All of a sudden, moral laws were imposed. So when somebody comes out and says, like, shave your beard, it's basically shave a symbol of your own prowess. The ability to grow a beard, number one, and it doesn't look fucked up and patchy or something. It looks, halfway decent. Number two, sort of that traditionalistic element of the symbolism of facial hair, ironically, is originally what they wanted to get rid of. Literally. It was literally a movement of housewives. They didn't want their husbands drunk. They wanted him to go to work. They didn't want him chewing tobacco because it's icky. They didn't want him having facial hair because, it itches when you kiss me and stuff. Whereas before, such things were actually like applauded. Like it was manliness. Now, of course, tobacco, not necessarily. Getting drunk all the time, yeah, it's like basically, isn't that going to decrease your testosterone or something? Could cause problems. But generally speaking, the concept was that it was a symbol of health too. Basically a symbol of some degree of health if you can maintain it, some degree of health if you can even have like a full head of hair and stuff. Getting older, maybe you shave it bald because you're balding or something. It's not like a sign of ill health, but it's a sign of your more advanced age. More advanced, you don't have to be old. Some people, they're balding when they're 25, so, you can't necessarily use that as a full marker. Meanwhile, these same individuals that would love a story like this, if you were to make an article and say, well, ultimately, women need to shave more, basically, you need to smell like a flower and stuff, you should wear this kind of clothing, and you should get a boob job or something, that would be considered sexist. And kind of rightfully so. Again, some of that symbolic element is a changeover from the more traditional past. Like, it is true, yeah, women with curves were more respected, even 100 years ago. Now, of course, by curves, we don't mean rolls. There's a little bit of a difference between the two, which is lost on some of the pink-haired crowd. But yeah, there is a symbolic element, so to speak, that is kind of missing in today's style. And the concept that people should be a group, like men must do this, women must do that. I've always been uncomfortable by that. I just sort of march to the beat of my own drum. It's like 10 years ago. Longer hair wasn't really accepted. Like a lot of people, they would look at my longer hair at the time and say like basically hippie, has certain political views because of that, and it's very funny because now I get it from the opposite side. Now they think because I have the goatee it means that I'm like a raging alt-right sexist or something like that. It's just really, really funny how people will try to group others together and command them how to live their lives. It's like, hey, you don't have the right to be happy about who you are and look in the mirror and like what you see. You've got to project something so that other people like what they see. And it's like, what the fuck? Who's going to respect you if you're ultimately doing that? And it's just very funny. So I condemn CNN for its sexism because that's actually sort of what this boils down to. No, I'm not shaving my beard. Maybe I'll grow a wizard beard. I won't even have a goatee anymore. I'll just grow the whole thing out and let it become all bushy, and I'll look like my name is Erasmus and I just got back from 6 months out in the California hills trying to mine gold and slowly losing my mind while drunk the entire time. I'll come back with wild tales of gnomes and shit, and how I was chased around. I was almost killed by bears. I was almost killed by wolves. A catamount jumped me. My horse got poisoned and died, and I had to walk 10 miles in the blistering hailstorm in order to get back to my tent because I was caught out in it. It'd be really funny. As far as CNN, it's like... you have people, their style is very much postmodern, and then they're trying to tell people, like, how they should look. And it's just, like, so stupid. That's about all. Peace out.